Hi, welcome to my video on the multiplication of complex numbers, part 3, the product of binomials. Again, products are the same as when you're multiplying polynomials or when you're multiplying radicals. It's the same idea. Simplify as a plus bi. Notice I have a binomial and binomial, so I'm going to use what we call the FOIL method for multiplying this. So I'm going to do FOIL as the first terms. That's outside, inside, last. You've seen this in my polynomials and you've seen this in my radicals. So, first terms, 1 times 3, 3. Outside, 1 times 4i, 4i. Inside, 2i times 3, 6i. Last is plus 8i squared. And notice the I squared. Well, let's add these because they're i's. So that's a 10i. And remember, 8i squared is 8i squared is negative 1. So that gives me negative 8. So if I make that a negative, there it is, negative 8. I put the plus there. So positive 8i squared is negative 8. And so we group our reals and we group our imaginaries. So we get a negative 5 plus 10i. Again, binomial times the binomials file. First, 6 outside plus 2i. Inside minus 18i. Last minus 6i squared. And again, I could leave these two alone until I do this power. So if I want, I can do this. Because I got to work my power first. And that's a negative 6. What is I squared? Negative 1. So negative 6 times negative 1 is a plus 6. Now I group my reals and group my imaginaries. And that's a 12 plus, oh, not a plus, that's a minus. 12 minus, make that a minus, that's a minus, plus positive 2 minus 18 is minus 16i. And FOIL again. First, 2 times 2 is 4. Outside is negative 6i. Inside, positive 6i. And last is a negative 9i squared. And remember up here, look back here, I added these and simplify this in the same step. But if you want to leave these alone and do the square, but notice that it's easy to see that a negative 6 and a plus 6 cancels out. So that gives me 4. And this is negative 9. I squared is negative 1. So that gives me a plus 9, which is a 13. Notice the i's cancel out. Negative 6 plus 6. And we have I minus 1, I plus 1. First, 1 times 1 is 1. Outside, 1 times I is 1i, or just I. Inside, negative I times 1 is negative I. And last, negative I times positive I is a negative I squared. And again, notice you got a positive I, negative I, they cancel out. And I have a I squared, so I have a negative. I squared is negative 1, so negative of a negative is a positive, so that's a positive 1, which gives me a 2. Negative I squared is the negative of I squared, which is negative 1. Notice the plus 1. And practice seeing how these work. You know how FOIL works. First, outside, FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. First, outside terms, inside terms, last terms. Simplify as a plus bi. Here we go. 4 times 1. First is 4. Outside is 4 times negative I, negative 4i. Negative 6i times 1 is negative 6i. Negative times the negative is a positive 6i squared. That's last. First, outside, inside, last. And again, 4, if you want to add these, you can go with a 10i. And notice that's a 6i squared. And I squared is negative 1, so that's a 6 times negative 1, so that's a negative 6. I squared is negative 1, 6 times negative 1, negative 6. So we got a 4 minus 6 minus 10i. Negative 2 minus 10i. Now you don't have to write this step down all the time. You could omit this step and just add your reals. 4 subtract 6 is negative 2, negative 10. Your choice if you want to do it faster. Again, we're going to do FOIL because of binomials. First, negative 2 times negative 1 times negative 2 is 2. Outside, negative 1 times I, negative I. Inside, I times negative 2, negative 2i. Last, I times I is I squared, positive. So, that's a 2. Negative 1 subtract 2 is negative 3i. And I squared is negative 1. And if I want, add the like term. I'll group them together. But you could have said 2 subtract 1 is 1 minus 3i. So I put the real parts and imaginaries together and then add them. That is your choice, as long as you know what you're doing. And again, notice we have a 3 minus 4i, 3 plus 4i. Very similar to these up here. Let's see, FOIL. First, 3 times 3 is 9. Outside, positive 12, negative 12i. Inside, negative 12i. Last, negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. I times I is I squared. And notice they cancel out. And notice that I got a negative 16. I squared is negative 1, so it gives me a plus 16, which gives me a 25. Notice it's almost like the difference of two squares, only we got a plus here. Notice? But because of the I squared is negative 1, that makes this a plus 16, and we have to add. Now, number 4, we should simplify first before we multiply. Square root of negative 1 is an I. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of a negative number is an I. 3, subtract. Square root of 4 is 2. Because it's negative, we have an I. Now we do FOIL. First, 6. Outside, negative 4i. Inside, plus 3i. Last, negative 2i squared. So that's 6. Add these if you wish. You get a negative I. And you get a negative 2. I squared is negative 1. So that's a plus 2. So if you work this out on the side like I'm doing, your teacher will know that you change the I squared to a negative 1 and you multiply it. So 6 plus 2 is 8 minus I. Again, I didn't group them, but it's your choice. Number 5, FOIL again. First, 2, outside, plus 8i. Inside, minus 8i. Last, negative 32i squared. And notice that these two cancel out. And notice that I squared is negative 1. So negative 32 times negative 1 is 32. And that gives me 34 total. Just to show you, negative 32. I squared is negative 1. So that gives me a plus 32. So once you get used to it, you see negative 32 times negative 1. You see. So this is a negative number. I squared is a negative number. So you change this sign automatically to a plus. Notice negative 16i squared is a positive. And positive 16. Notice I squared is negative 1. So that becomes plus 6 becomes a minus 6 because the I squared is negative 1. And number 6, multiplying by binomial times a binomial FOIL. First, negative 24. Outside, minus 12i. Inside, minus 12i. And last is minus 6i squared. Okay, and we get 24, and that becomes negative 12. Negative 12 is a negative 24i. Notice I squared is negative 1. Negative 6 times negative 1 is a plus 6. And we add our like reals, so negative, I'll group them this time just to make sure. So that gives us a negative 18 minus 24i. Again, when you know what you're doing, you don't have to write this step. You just add the reals and add the imaginaries. But put the reals first, because it should be in what form? A plus bi. Reals first, imaginary second. So that's using the FOIL method on complex numbers, which are binomial times a binomial. If you like my video, click the like button, the subscribe button, and notification bell. More videos are coming. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.